Okay, so here is the HDPE welder. Here's the frame that we're going to do the actual welding in. This is going to be your heating unit inside the bag there, keeping the heat in, and this will be our facing unit. What we're going to start first with is facing. We have to clean off both ends of the pipe. I already inserted one pipe in there, so to take less time as we do this in the video. So we're just going to take the other end. We need to put it in just a little ways, but still keep enough space in there so that we can get our facer in. And it just fits in, and then you hand tighten these. But you get them good and tight. You tighten them as well as you can. Okay? Before I tighten any further, I'm going to make sure my facer fits down in between there. Okay? These facer have little blades on it that spin around and will cut off the plastic. So they're very sharp. Be very careful with them. I inspected the power cord and everything before. At this point, it's in there, and it locks in with this handle. You push it down until it locks in. To release it, we lift it up and lift it out of there. So there's a simple on-off switch here to turn it on, and we'll double check and make sure everything's tight. Usually I do this with it all unplugged, but for time on the video, I left it plugged in. Now we turn on the switch, and as you see, it starts spinning. We hold one handle, pull the other one. This is where different debates come in. Some people say continue going until you get one consistent bead off of there, which is fine. Others say go until this piece comes up against here and this piece goes up against there. Well, it was so full of material I couldn't do that. So what I'm going to have to do is get this out of the way. And as you see, as we're getting here, we're getting these smooth, clean bands that are coming off. And if you look at that side of the pipe, it's very clean already. I'm going to slide the facer out. Do the same thing to this side, but as you see, we still have a little bit of a lip there. I peeled that off, so I'm going to go ahead and put the facer back in and go until the stop stops. And what I mean by the stop is this is up against the side there and up against the side there, so it can't go any further. Now we'll push it apart. Again, pull the facer out. Make sure your facer is stopped. If you look down inside here, somebody put the facer back in the casing with it still turning, and that's what tore that all up. Shows you how sharp those blades can be. So at that point now, we have cleaned these all off. We will be ready to heat here shortly, but before we do that, we do a couple steps. We make sure everything's out of there. No, none of these pieces are going to get in our weld in our way. And at that point, we do what they call a high-low check. We look up here to see if either side is high. This side is higher than that, just feeling it, so we will always turn this down. Sometimes you got to loosen it up. And wiggle the pipe in there a little bit to get it more centered. And then tighten it back down. We always tighten down. We never loosen. So this one still needs to go further to get it in alignment. And we're not perfect there, but we would continue tightening. But at this point, for the essence of time on the video, I'm going to continue on. Try and tighten it just a little bit more now. I got a little access there. One last time together. Feeling the sides. We're pretty darn close. That's all done hand tight. Next thing we do before we do the weld, we get our pyrometer and we take a measurement of the temperature of the heating element. Should be between 400 and 425. I do several measurements around. Make sure both sides are approximately the same type. There used to be a thermostat there. I covered that for a different class, and we use the pyrometer. There's also a gauge on the handle here, and it's reading around 450. But as you see, I don't know if you can see it, we're about 425 on there. At this point, we are ready to start heating. We will put the heater in there and notice how this fits over the openings there. Once we have it in there, in both the openings, we will pull it where both sides are touching. We let go. We do not continue force against there while it is heating. If we do that, it'll expand the heat down the length of pipe, and we won't heat up the two ends to the temperature they need. It'll heat the whole pipe, and we'll get what they call a cold bond. So at this point, there's no pressure against it. We're heating just the ends of those two pieces of pipe. Now, years ago, they talked about different methods of heating and things like that. What the approved method nowadays is we go until there's about 1/8 of an inch of material rolled back against there. And so I'm going to turn this a little bit, get a little more light in here, so hopefully it's a little easier to see when we get to the point of the edges rolling back. We're watching that inside edge against the heater on both sides, looking for it to roll back just a little bit. HDPE stands for high density polyethylene pipe. The plastic pipe advantages are numerous. One is the weight that you're dealing with. Two, the level of ease basically to weld this pipe with, and things like that. So those are the two main advantages. As you see, there's little lips on the side of the heater that goes down into, and we just want to make sure it's centered in there. Now we're starting to get a little bit of rollback on each side of the heating element. And at this point, we would be getting very close to the time to start separating and putting it back. This is somewhat a quick process, but you do a couple little things first. First, we pull apart, get our heater out of there, put it in the bag, make sure nothing's in the way, pull together. Then, once we have pulled it together, there's a spring down here on the bottom. I'm using my foot. We kick that spring pressure up against the back of this, and that spring is rated for 75 pounds per square inch of pressure to hold the two pipes together. They said in the video 60 to 90 psi. Most of the springs are rated for 75, which is right in the middle. The only time we put that on there is when we are fusing the pipe. As you see, both sides rolled back, and we have a good rollback and a good connection between the two pipes. Now remember, sometimes in the winter it takes longer to heat. Sometimes in the summer it takes less time to heat. So you're just watching for that. At this point, we would let it cool until it's able to be touched and hold our finger on there. And at that point, then we would put the spring down, take one side, both sides loose, take it apart, take the weld out of there, and go put it in, assemble those, or wherever we do. At this point, I'm going to call the video good. You guys get the point of waiting until it cools down and then releasing it. Again, releasing it means nothing more than loosening both of these up. Holy moly, I got that one tight. trying to get those lined up. But we have to loosen those so that the pipe slides. We put the spring down and we start pulling that apart. And there's our welder. So, if you have any questions, let me know.